the street never could have guessed that I harbored this horrible secret in my mind. And I tried very, very hard to fit in, and I didn't want to be different from everyone else. And so that, I really struggled with that for almost 10 years of my life.
Well, I just want to know, when you met your biological parents, what did they say to you?
Well, and that's been an interesting journey in and of itself. I started searching for them when I was about 19 years old, because as I shared, you know, I had forgiven them a long time ago, and I knew if I came forward with my story that I wanted to reach out to them first, because I don't want their life to have any more trauma or shock than what it already has. And I didn't find my biological parents actually until 2007. And, you know, the Lord certainly put things in my path that I didn't plan for myself. This ministry is one of them. But my reunification with my biological parents certainly has not been what I thought it would look like. I haven't met my mother. I have had contact with her parents. I was never able to find her herself, but I asked them to reach out to her for me. And I did correspond with them by letter. And I had actually contacted my biological father at about the same time. And unfortunately, he passed away before we could ever have contact. We were living in the same city. Such was the Lord's plan. I didn't grow up there. I had moved there to get my master's degree, but my father unfortunately passed away. But in his passing, he left me the gift of his family. They never knew anything about me. Wow. And so I have contact with my biological grandfather. He comes over on a regular basis, and I've talked to my grandmother on the phone. I get together with one of my great aunts regularly, and I'll be actually meeting one of my great uncles here in a few weeks.
Wow, that's exciting. Well, we want to ask you more about your ministry and what the Lord has got you doing now and how you're ministering to people. But we're going to take a break to music, and we've got the high schools are here, and they're going to share the song "Faithful" with us.
So that I may hear your voice. Your word is hope for the hopeless. Your word is peace and forgiveness. Your word is life for the broken heart. Faithful, Lord, you are faithful.
Well, we're here with Melissa Ohden, and she has suffered a kind of rejection that the rest of us really don't know anything about, surviving a saline abortion attempt by her biological mother. And Norma, you had brought up a real good point off camera, that when Melissa was in college. Why don't you...
Well, Melissa, you said that when you went to college, high school was hard enough when you found out about yourself. Mm-hmm. But when you went to college, you met a lot of people that didn't think the way you thought, that weren't Christians. You are a Christian, and I mean, you're a put together, beautiful girl, and we're so happy to have you here. But they just, did anybody say you know, to girls when they get pregnant, it's just a blob. I mean, it's nothing you need. It's not important. You need to continue your education, or you know, you can go to work tomorrow. Or did you hear any?
Oh, absolutely. And I know that my own mother experienced that being pregnant with me. You know, it's still kind of a process putting the pieces of the puzzle together, but what I do know is that she was coerced by her own family to abort me. And I have no doubt that they said similar things to her of, you know, it is just a blob of tissue. Your life will go on. Your life will be better because of this abortion. And when I know that there's at least 52 million other children like me who have been aborted, just think of how many hundreds of millions of parents like mine who are hurting because of it. Because all those years later, they suddenly realize that that wasn't just a blob of tissue they aborted. That was their child.
So how would you minister to someone that's watching us today that fell for that line? What would you say?
First of all, I would say the Lord has forgiven you. Sometimes I think it's hardest to forgive ourselves for the things that we do. But first of all, the Lord forgives us if we ask for that forgiveness. And secondly, you know what? People can heal. It's time in lots of people's lives to find healing. They need to seek support. They need to be honest with themselves and with the people around them to get that support. You know, I know there's lots of families like my biological family who keep these secrets for decades. You know, my own father went to his grave carrying the secret of my life, my survival.
And never seen you.
Never. And I don't want anybody to suffer that fate. And I know that's the Lord's plan for my father's life and his passing, is for other men to have a better life than that.
Well, let me ask you, a couple of years ago, you started to talk about it. Why did you do that?
Oh, the Lord had a plan for me that I was never prepared for. You know, I knew that. I knew it the minute I was told about being a survivor, that was my purpose in life. But truly, I tried to shut him out for years. He would call upon me and say, Melissa, I saved your life for a reason. And I'd say, Lord, I'm a great social worker. I'm a good wife. I'm a good daughter. Please don't ask me to do this. I'm not prepared. I don't like to fly. I'm not a good public speaker. I just don't do well with these things. And so I kept putting him off. But such is the Lord's ways. He kept knocking on my door till I couldn't help but listen.
And what's the reaction been? I mean, you're one of only 8 people that have survived.
That I know of.
That you know of. What's been the reaction to people that have heard you? Let's talk about positive reaction. What's been the positive reaction?
Well, and truthfully, the majority of the reactions have been very positive. When I first came out with my story, I was speaking with a group called Feminists for Life out of Washington, D.C., and I joined them because they're really about positive supports and resources for parents on college campuses, like my own parents were. So I was really driven to working with them. And the feminist movement related to